seen a leather sofa in a house has been in a working class house. Middle class don't do that.
I have seen some names. I've seen some where I've had to really stop and think, what am I seeing?
The middle class. Middle class. Cafetiere coffee, herbal teas and oat milk.
I'm lactose intolerant. Why are you attacking me? Why do I feel attacked?
You're middle class, deal with it. The great British class system. I'm Izzy.
And I'm Garcia.
Welcome to Informally Informed.
Indeed. Is it great?
Well, I don't know, but it worked because, you know, Great
Britain. I get it.
Yeah. So I thought I'd run over the 5 main classes in the UK. It's interesting as well because the UK has a very unique class system compared to a lot of other countries, and I think one of the reasons for that is there's been no revolution like a lot of countries have.
I know.
So okay,
not since Charles I got beheaded.
Yeah, in the
somewhere in the 1600s.
Yeah. Early
what's
1600s.
His name? Oh, terrible man.
Charles Stuart.
No.
Oliver Cromwell.
Oliver Cromwell. Yes. Yes, Oliver Cromwell and his nonsense. Well, actually, it got us the parliamentary system, which is shit, but it's better than nothing.
It's also important to mention as well that the British class system isn't just based on money.
No.
Like most other class systems are. It's based on culture. And it's, for all intents and purposes, self-segregation. Because those strict financial barriers don't exist as much as they used to. Or at all, really. So a lot of it's basically just self-segregation. And there's a lot of classism in the UK.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And it comes from all of the different classes against all of the other different classes.
I said this in another video when we touched on racism. And I was saying that the issue in the UK, of course, racism is an issue. But the bigger issue is the class system.
Yeah.
Classism is a much bigger issue.
Okay. So the 5 classes: aristocracy, upper class, middle class, working class, and the underclass.
Yeah.
Okay. So class in the UK instructs a lot more than we think it does. Although we pretend that it doesn't, the people born and raised in this society are very, very highly attuned to the subtleties of the differences in class.
Yep.
I know if I have a conversation with someone and they say Luton compared to Luton, that they're more likely to be from a certain class. I might not be thinking it at the time, but there's certain things like that that are signifiers. Languages, accents, education, occupation and wealth, hobbies, leisure, all that sort of thing, and politics as well.
Yeah, the ability to have hobbies altogether.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start at the top, the aristocracy.
I mean,
I also think it is important to, I know it does need telling, but before anybody puts anything in the comments, hashtag not all. You know, there are exceptions to the rule.
I don't think many of the aristocracy are watching our videos. But, you know, you never know. What's up, King Charles? How you doing?
What's his name? Somebody Grosvenor. What's his name?
The young guy that's now the heir to the Grosvenor. I have no idea.
The Grosvenor heir? I know you're watching this.
I don't pay attention to them.
Okay, so obviously the aristocracy, they're the ones with titles, and it's the only class really in the UK that you cannot become a part of.
Yeah.
A working class person could get incredibly rich, take elocution lessons, and, you know, learn the subtleties of a different class system and blend in very well. You can't do that with aristocracy because they're titles, it's about ancestry, they are born and not made. I'm going to break them all down into 3 different sections as well. The first one's the hobbies. So for hobbies, obviously, the fox hunting, when it was legal, the country pursuits, the hunting, the art collecting, all that sort of stuff, elite cricket, rowing, and with language, everything tends to be an understatement. There is no bragging. There's none of that. Things are said very, very humbly because they don't need to. And if you do,
subtle.
yes, exactly.
You have to watch for the subtle undertones of hate. They don't actually come out and say you're poor. Yeah.
Some of them do.
Yes, but very subtly with decorum.
But it's not even just that. It's in everything. It's in everything.
Everything. They show you that you're poor.
So no. I mean, it's not just about like.
No, I know what you mean.
Some examples of different words that they use. They say sofa as opposed to settee or couch. They don't say home. They say house. They don't even say residence. That's an upper class thing. Aristocrats say house. Right? They say napkin instead of serviette. And they use the word summer instead of the word holiday. Oh, I summer in the Loire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, things like that. And they'll say things that they expect that are subtle signs of status. So, for example, they'll say something like, I don't normally fish, but whenever I'm in Roquefort-en-Thiers, I often find, you know the beautiful little lake there? Well, I often find that, I have to. And if you don't know where Roquefort-en-Thiers, you can't ask where these places are, because they will throw obscure places of random places in the world at you. Not because they're trying to see if you know where they are, because they already assume you know these locations, With regards to money, it's all hereditary. But obviously it only takes one bad apple to waste the fortune.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you do end up with, in today's society, a significant minority of aristocrats that are very cash poor but very land rich. They have crumbling castles that they just can't afford to heat up. So a lot of them actually make their money from renting out their properties to the National Trust for tourists and stuff like that, because they've got all this land that's been inherited through generations that they know they're never going to sell, but they don't have any money because their great-grandfather wasted it all on some stupid investments, because there's always one dark horse in the family and it only takes
Airbnb
one.
Now. You can see them on Airbnb now.
And this is why grooming... Right, I'm not going to use the phrase grooming kids.
It's awful. Now it's got terrible connotations.
It really does. But raising kids in an environment where that is first and foremost to reduce the likelihood of them then turning around and making bad investments and stuff, they make it almost like the monarchy, their duty to... So, because they're very aware of the fact that one bad apple could throw it all away for the ones that it hasn't already. But at the same time, they are extremely stable. Mm-hmm. They've got a lot of money. They're not as open to the fluctuations of the risk to the fluctuations of the market. Yeah. The landed gentry, if you will. Okay, so the upper class, they're the new money lot. Their hobbies involve things like golf at prestigious clubs, skiing in expensive locations, opera, expensive theatre seats, wine tastings, foreign luxury holidays, tennis in clubs, all that sort of thing. Their language is more modern than the aristocrats, but it's still cultivated. So they'll use the word residence instead of house, like the aristocrats. They will say holiday home, whereas the aristocrats will say second home, third home, etc. They'll use networking. So I'm going networking, whereas the aristocrats, there's no need for them to do that. So I'm going to a gathering or whatever. With regards to money, they tend to be large family businesses, stocks, investments, all that sort of thing.
Think the chaebols of South Korea. Yes.
And they're obviously a lot more vulnerable to the...
Economic flux,
yeah. They've got higher disposable income. Okay, so the middle class. Now, this is a bit of a weird one because I'm putting it all in together. So the upper middle and the lower middle all kind of go into this. Oh, the one thing I didn't say about the upper class, one of the hobbies I forgot to mention, was rugby union in private schools. And that's important because the middle class, depending on location, it's either union or league. Yeah. But the working class is fundamentally league. So you can tell if, as one of the markers for which class somebody falls into. So the hobbies of the middle class, theatre is a big one. Even a lot of working class people that earn a lot of money.
But when we come back to modern Britain, we'll go into that.
Okay,
because I do cover this in my modern Britain part.
Okay, cool. So what I was going to say was that even working class people that earn a lot of money don't tend to go to the theatre. It's just not in them. It's just a cultural difference. And this is what I mean about loads of cultural differences. They go to National Trust visits, hiking holidays, foreign holidays, tennis, badminton, nice restaurants, book clubs, park runs.
You know what? I feel attacked, and I don't care.
Hey, I'm in the class as well.
I feel attacked. I don't care. Go on.
Okay, so the
I've
language.
recently joined another book club. I don't care. I like to read.
I have never once joined a book club.
Well, there's something wrong with you, and you need to expand your horizons. In fact, you should join. You should join one of my book clubs. I'm actually in one called Book Sluts. Shout out Book Sluts. And you should join that. Because you are, in fact, a slut.
Okay, the language. They tend to avoid working class slang, but there's no understatement like there is with the aristocrats. They tend to be very much, you know, status is almost more important to the middle class than it is to the aristocrats. You don't really care, because why would you care about something you've always had?
Yeah.
Right? So they'll say serviette instead of napkin, which is a difference to the upper class and the aristocrats. They say lounge rather than sitting room. They say pardon instead of what. And they use sweet rather than like pudding or dessert, whereas the upper class and the aristocrats will say pudding, the working class will say dessert, middle class tend to say sweet. And you can tell a middle class person, this is where it starts to differ from the upper class and the aristocrats in terms of accent. You can tell where a middle class person is from based on their accent, whereas with the aristocrats and a lot of upper class people, well, with aristocrats it's very received pronunciation in terms of the accent, and obviously standard English in terms of the dialect, which is the same for the upper class, but the upper class have less of a received pronunciation, why hello, and just speak like they almost have no accent, if that makes sense. Whereas the middle class coming in, they don't have as strong regional accents as the working class, but it's like soft regional accents, so you can tell if somebody's middle class based. Does that make sense? You're nodding like, yeah. I noticed that.
I have noticed this. I have noticed this because we've discussed this. And then I'm thinking about every time someone meets me and they go, oh, where are you from? I'm like, oh, I was born in Jamaica, but I grew up in the South. They're like, oh, you just sound generic.
Yeah.
That's what you mean.
Yeah.
It's like a generic accent.
Yeah. And there's clear enunciation, moderate swearing.
Moderate swearing, yeah. It's so funny because when I was doing my research on this, I was looking at then how all of this looks with immigration. Because the fact is, this generic accent isn't made. It's not founded. It's that where you are from and your social ladder abroad, because don't forget Britain owned half the world. English is now that's one of the most spoken languages in the world, if not is it Mandarin that's the most, regardless
it is, yeah, Mandarin.
They teach their kids to speak properly.
My mother, I remember growing up, my mother used to threaten me with elocution lessons all the time.
My aunt used to, me and my cousin Kerry, hi Kerry, we were talking about this, and because her mum, my aunt, we were discussing how sometimes she just would not answer us if we didn't speak to her in proper English. That was it. That was it.
Every time I said something like, oh, it's a good idea, innit? In it? It isn't it. I didn't pay thousands of pounds for your education to make you sound like you're from the back ends of Winsford. She say that to me all the time.
And then I also feel like it's also part of who's in your social circle. Because people tend to stay with... Well, I say that. Society now is different. As we know. Society now is different. But at a time, you'd normally like live in certain areas where you'd send your children to... foster those relationships from young, so then you'd all learn the same sort of things on how to be in society.
Yeah.
And it will be punctuated in those communities. It's quite an interesting thing. But what I was saying with immigration is because I know a lot of Africans from the African continent, 56 countries, but Africans who have better upper class accents than the upper class aristocracy. It's ridiculous, but it's not ridiculous. It's just that in their areas of the world where they're from, they are the upper class. It's an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah. With regards to money, middle class people tend to be reliant on careers, money that they make from careers.
New money that you earn.
Money that you earn, but they're career based as opposed to job based. So your doctors, your accountants, your managers. A lot of working class people also have jobs now that are career based, but they're still working class because of a bunch of other cultural things. Yeah. Some can afford private schools. Their wealth tends to be in ISAs, home equity. A couple of them, some of them own buy-to-lets or small businesses. They have mortgages. Well, I was going to say the middle class are more known for saving rather than investing. And they will save just for the sake of saving because they've been told from an early age you need to save money. Which is different to the upper class who prefer to invest and the working class who save for specific reasons as opposed to just for the sake of it, which is what the middle class do.
I see your point and I raise you the blurring of the lines. But anyway, go on.
Okay, so that's pretty much the middle class. The working class. So their hobbies involve there's a lot of pub culture in the working class. There's a lot of video games, informal gatherings at social clubs, football, that's a big one.
Come on, the working class, because we know what it's at. And actually, I would, what I said before about the blurring of the lines, I would raise you that now football, because it used to be a working man's sport.
If you ask somebody whether they liked football and the answer was yes, you had a 95% chance of guessing or being working class, yeah.
But things have changed quite dramatically. Because even look at rugby now. I don't care for rugby. I know where I live in the world, but I still don't care for rugby. There is only one Arsenal. Anyway, I look at that and I look at the people, like you now will see people mixing a lot more than you used to, because the fact is there's more working class than there are any other classes.
Yeah. Rugby league as well. Socialising with extended family, that tends to be a big working class thing over other classes. Darts, pool, bingo, boxing. I mean, I'm just throwing some, domestic holidays. Language. They have strong regional accents. There tends to be a significant amount of swearing. They'll use the words that they use is, so I've grown up as a middle class person saying breakfast, lunch, dinner. Working class people say breakfast, dinner, tea. And I remember the first time when I moved to Sitting Home, somebody saying, what are we having for tea? Me being like, so what are we having for dinner? And me being like, it's 12:30 in the afternoon. Isn't it a bit early to be thinking about dinner?
So I also had that same experience. I continue to have that experience, even though I've lived here for a decade. But I would argue that that's also a north-south thing. Because in the south, no matter what bracket you live in, it's breakfast, lunch and dinner, because that's the way of the world. But also, what I was going to say is, again, immigration also plays a massive part in that, because in the rest of the world, what the fuck is dinner and tea? What the fuck is dinner and tea?
Yeah.
But you know what? Don't come for me, Northerners, because I live here.
The working class tend to use lots of terms of endearment. Love, girl, ducky, sweetheart, whatever it is.
Cock.
In St. Helens.
I can't.
It's short for cocker, and they say
It's
to
short
everybody,
for
you're right,
cocker.
cock.
But every time it gets me, especially if I've not woken up and someone turns to, you're right, cock. Murder on my mind.
I remember at the hospital years ago, one of the nurses said to a patient, "Oh, just get a gown for your cock," and he didn't realise it was showing them. She went bright red. It was hilarious.
Oh, St. Helens,
With
really
money.
Wonderful place.
With money, it tends to be jobs like manual labour, service workers, trades, and this is important because a working class person can decide they're going to be a plumber. Can then decide that they're going to start their own business, make
White van men,
Yeah.
which has become political, but go on.
make thousands of pounds a year, like hundreds of thousands of pounds a year, and they'll still be working class.
Bitch.
They'll still be working class because they own a plumbing business or they own an electrician's business. Those trades are working class trades. Yeah. They tend to be income focused. They're not much for saving, but when they do save, they save for a specific thing. And they don't really see the point for saving for the sake of saving. They're saving because they want to go on a nice holiday this year. And if they're not saving for something specific, it tends to go out just as quickly as it comes in. But obviously a lot of them tend to have less of it. But that obviously is not all the case. Just take a look at David Beckham, working class guy. He's a multimillionaire. He's still a working class guy. Like Alan Sugar is a multimillionaire. He's a working class guy. You can hear it in his mannerisms, the way he speaks, the way he acts, and no amount of hanging out with elite people is going to change the fact that he's a working class person. You know? And again, they tend to be vulnerable to economic shifts, layoffs, stuff like that. The underclass. I don't know how I want to go about this without being too...
You're going to offend, so just offend.
Hobbies, gaming, drinking locally, TV, social
Underclass.
media. Pardon?
Underclass. Because you started with gaming.
Anything cheap. They tend to, I mean, this is my experience with the underclass, for which I've socialised many a time with the underclass people. They tend to create drama. Just in terms of, do you reckon such a body's shagging such a body, like ridiculous things.
Okay, because I was looking at you like, what do you mean? All right, okay.
Because a lot of them, because they're on benefits. The underclass people, in terms of finances, they're on benefits. So there's not much else to do. They're also the class that's more likely to smoke than any other class. Very informal language, very slang driven, and lots of swearing. Okay, so those are the basic classes. The underclass is the newest of them, and that's because of the welfare system benefits, and it's created this subculture class of people that, again, is very easily distinguishable when you're having a conversation. If I'm having a conversation with somebody I've never met before, and I say to them, do you have a job? I know based on the first 5 minutes of conversation what the answer is going to be. You can place people in the underclass or the working class as a differential pretty easily.
And the thing is, these are not like stark. They're subtle things that you just notice. And I think that this is the thing about British society. In order to sort of, it's like with anywhere, in order to really understand it, you kind of have to just live in it.
Yeah. I asked ChatGPT to come up with some cultural differences that somebody outside of the UK wouldn't necessarily pick up on, but someone inside of the UK would. And I got a few. First one was home and living. So the front gardens, the upper class and the aristocrats tend to have gravel driveways. Crunchy gravel is an elite marker. The middle class have neat lawns, hanging baskets, pebble dash and conservatories. The working class and the underclass have concrete yards, deckings, gnomes, and wheelie bins on display. Hey, this is what ChatGPT is telling me, okay? Right? The decor, the upper class and the aristocrats have faded, shabby furniture that's obviously expensive but inherited. So shabby chic, it's real, it's not curated, and it wouldn't look like anything to look at. The people, a middle class person would probably look at it and go, shouldn't that be in the bin by now? The middle class people, John Lewis, everything's matching. Yeah. Working class, leather sofas, big TVs, feature walls. Yeah, no, it's true. We didn't have leather sofas growing up. It is now that I think about it, it never occurred to me, but I saw that point and I thought about it and I was like, that's true. That's actually true. The only time I've seen a leather sofa in a house has been in a working class house. Middle class don't do that. You're trying to think of the exception, aren't you?
No, I'm not trying to think of the exception. I'm thinking of covered furniture. Like your grandparents used to do. That's what I'm thinking of.
And that actually reminds me, when I said big TVs, one of the things that I've noticed, that wasn't on the list, but I noticed that I use as an example quite a lot, is working class people tend to have their TVs on walls, whereas middle class people don't.
Yes, we've discussed this, yeah.
And I remember having this conversation with my mum when I'd not long moved to St. Helens. And I said, oh, I'm just going to think about putting, a TV show. Where are you going to put it? I was just going to put it on the wall. And my mother's like, can't put a television on the wall. I said, why not? And she was like, it's a bit crass, isn't it? So even if somebody from the new, that makes an absolute fortune, that starts a business, it becomes the most successful business in the world, becomes one of the wealthiest person in the world, he's not going to know, if he's come from a working class household, that he shouldn't be putting his television on the wall because upper class and middle class people don't do that.
But these days, though, space savers, because of the economy, the world is not as it was. People can't move out as much. There's not enough space.
Yeah, but middle class and upper class people aren't considering that. Yeah. So it's a massive giveaway. Mm-hmm. If you're a working class person that buys a really expensive house in a 90210 postcode or whatever, if you've got your TV on your wall, you're more than likely originally working class. Mm. And the underclass is basically just minimalist out of necessity.
Fair enough.
Cheap. Food and drink. This was interesting. Bread was on the list, right? So the upper class, I know, right? Sourdough, home-baked or farmhouse loaves. Middle class, seeded brown bread and granary.
Is this attacking? Did you put?
I didn't.
Things that I eat. What's
no,
wrong
I
with
didn't.
You? Why are you attacking me? Why do I feel attacked?
You're middle class. Deal with it.
No, I am a working class woman who works like seeded bread. I like sourdough too.
You're a middle class woman, and there's
no,
nothing you can do to convince me. You were raised middle class.
Whatever. Go on.
Okay, working class, white sliced, and underclass, whatever's cheapest. There's a pudding / desserts, like what words they use. So the aristocrats use the word pudding, middle class use desserts, working class use afters, which is it's different to what I said earlier.
Afters.
Afters. So what are we having for afters?
After what? Oh, after dinner. I get it.
Oh, and the
that's weird.
But Tea and coffee. This is another one that made me chuckle. How they take their tea and coffee. So the upper class have strong builder's tea. The middle class cafetiere coffee, herbal teas and oat milk.
I'm lactose intolerant. I'm lactose intolerant. This is out of necessity. I don't like soy. It tastes weird. I'm not a fan of almond milk. And I like mint tea. Do you know what? Whatever.
Working class.
You're laughing so hard that you're crying. You're like, what's going on?
But it's so true, though. It's so true.
Okay, go on.
Yeah. I think the middle class are more uppity than the upper class. And this is just explaining it beautifully for me. Okay. Working class. Tea bags, milk, sugar served in novelty mugs. My dad doesn't have any novelty mugs.
I have loads.
I've got a few. I've got loads as well, actually. But that's when I moved to St. Helens. Everybody had novelty mugs.
Yeah.
Whereas growing up, nobody had novelty mugs.
And to be
it
fair,
was seen as crass.
I think all of mine have been gifts. I don't think I've actually bought myself a novelty mug.
And the underclass, it says energy drinks and not tea.
I can see that because energy drinks are very popular. Do you drink energy drinks?
Occasionally, yeah.
You do?
I do.
I don't drink energy drinks.
Yeah.
But also diabetes. But I don't like them.
But that's only a new thing. But you've never really drunk energy drinks,
No,
even before your diagnosis.
Yeah, no, I've never drank energy drinks.
Okay, the school run. Cars. The upper class and the aristocrats tend to have battered old Land Rovers or Volvo estates because expensive cars are considered vulgar.
Mm-hmm.
Middle class, the shiny Audis, the BMWs, Volvo SUVs, all that. Working class, the Ford Focuses, the Vauxhall Astras. And the underclass, they don't tend to have cars. Tend to walk to school stuff. Okay, the next one is names. Upper class and aristocrats, old-fashioned, often double-barreled surnames, Henry, Arthur, that kind of thing. The middle class is safe but modern, Oliver, Sophie, Emily, Jack, those kinds of things.
Isabel.
Exactly. And the working class is whatever's trendy at the time, like pop culture, things like that. And the underclass, highly creative spellings.
Oh, okay.
And as somebody that works in the hospital, I can tell you that the underclass do have an incredible range of spellings of like ridiculously weird and wonderful things. I'm just like, what?
As it is that I do work in a busy A&E, there I have seen some names. I've seen some where I've had to really stop and think, what am I seeing? But then I look at Elon Musk, who named his kid something stupid. It's like XYZ.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And then I look at Apple. And
is that one of Oliver, what's his name's kids?
No, it's Gwyneth Paltrow's kid.
That's a stupid name.
And who, well, whilst American, comes
but
from
again,
she comes from a British American family, and she was married to Chris Martin of Coldplay,
but
who is already from an upper middle class family.
Yeah, but genuine upper middle class, upper and aristocratic people wouldn't be doing that. They just wouldn't be doing that.
And then, this reminds me of that clip, which Katie Hopkins on the morning programme.
About kids' names.
Yes, about kids' names.
But it's true.
But she has in fact named her child India.
I know, yeah.
So, yes.
She was like, I don't like let my child hang out with children who are named after places like Paris. And she was like, your child's named India.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Conversations and manners. So when it comes to your thank yous, the upper class and the aristocrats more specifically, it's either just a nod or thanks awfully. So understatement's the key when it comes to the aristocracy, right? Middle class, complete opposite. Oh my God, thank you so much.
Appreciation.
Right? Yeah, appreciation. Working class, cheers or tar. And the underclass almost never apologise unless they're truly at fault. Which I think is a great way, personally. Don't apologise for something that, Oh, sorry, that's going into this. That's going into the sorry section. Yeah, not the thank you section. Because that's not about saying thank you, it's about saying sorry. Anyway, for sorry, the underclass almost never apologise unless they're truly at fault. And the middle class are constantly apologising, even when they're bumped into. Which is also, again, true. And evening meal. So this was one. What people call evening meal. Upper class, they say supper. Middle class say dinner. Working class say tea. And the underclass either say food or takeout. Hey,
Scran, which I recently, I don't know I don't know which kind of rock I've been living under. I know what Scran is, right? But I don't think I've heard it in like a everyday conversation for a while. And then someone said, do you want to go get some Scran? And I was like, spam? No, Scran. I had to really stop there and think, that meme of the calculations going around that woman's head? That was me.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. But when it comes to different classes, and this is one of the things, because I really want to accentuate the point that the British class system is so unlike a lot of other ones, because it's about how they're raised, their mindset, how they view money, how they view each other, how they view different societal norms, how they view different classes, because the upper class hate the aristocrats, the middle class, the working class, and the underclass. The middle class hate everybody else, hate the upper class, they hate the working class because they think they're all racist. They hate the upper class because they think they're stealing the working class's money, and they think they themselves, majority of the time, are the working class when they're not. And the working class hates everybody else for being whatever it is they're being. It's just the whole thing. And the upper class look down on the middle class and the working class because they think they're late. See, it's just a whole thing of everybody hating everybody.
They do, but I also feel like the economy plays a big part in them hating each other. The economy plays a massive part, and how it is that we interact in society plays a big part in this. But we'll look at this more when we come on to modern.
Okay. There's one more thing I wanted to say as well, and this is just another example. So, And I've written here the cheese example. Because I was talking to somebody, a working class person, about different types of cheese and which was my favourite. And he was like, dude, well, he didn't, he said love. Love 2 types of cheese. Red cheese, white cheese. Right?
Oh, like red Leicester?
Yeah, but obviously I know it as like red Leicester. But a lot of working class people just think red, white, easy. And I think I'd made a comment because I was having a few people around and I was like, do I need to put out a cheese board? And he was like, yeah, reasonable. And he just looked at me and he's like, what, you want putting on a cheese board? Come put on a cheese board. Who eats cheese? A very much working class guy, right? And then I turned to my friend Kat, lives in Cambridge, came up for the weekend.
Hi, Kat.
And I said, look, back me up here. And then Kat just went, oh yes, my parents always put out a cheese board whenever they're entertaining. And and that's a very middle class thing to say because she used the word entertaining, number one, which working class people would never say. Like, things like putting out a cheese board, to me, I grew up in that environment. So when I'm in my early 20s, I'd moved to St. Helens, which is a working class town. I'm having people over and I'm saying, let's put out a cheese board. Everyone's looking at me like I'm some sort of crazy person.
I mean, as the default curator of all the charcuterie boards, I feel like I'm again being attacked in this. What did I do? No, I'm joking. No, I don't know. I feel like it's something you should have just so people can pick. They can snack. They can.
I think it's not about not putting out snacks. It was about the type of snacks. So crisps, stuff like that is fine. But cheese board
is just
posh. That's what it is. It's posh. It's all working class people, yeah.
Well, this is enlightening to me.
Anyway, that's the end. I think we'll wrap it up with that one. And I'm very looking forward to...
I'm very looking forward. Go on.
Very soon. I'm
also very looking forward.
Very much looking forward to what your take on the modern class system will be, which will be coming out probably in a couple of weeks' time. So... We're going to film it straight away, but it's not going to be released.
I'll tell you what, you guys tell me, where do you fit in where do you think, from all the things that you know about society, if you live in Britain, where do you think you fit in? And if you don't live in Britain, from those descriptions, where do you think that you'd sit? Sound off in the comments. Please keep the swearing to a minimum. This is Davina. You are live on Channel 4.
Hey, you can't say that. You
Please
can't
do
say
not
that
swear.
because that's discrimination against the working class. Garcia.
Oh my God. Oh,
bye. I just said working class people swear more.
Bye.
I'll see you in the next one, guys.
Let us know if you agree or disagree with any of our views. That's the point of the conversation. Join in.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.